Warning, the following presentation is for educational purposes, which contains graphic descriptions of crimes and is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jessica and Daniel Groves were a married couple of over 20 plus years who lived in Ohio with their 14-year-old son, Daniel Jr. And on January 10th, 2019, Jessica and Daniel Groves entered the Southern Ohio Medical Center. Jessica was in active labor. It's coming, she would say. Medical staff said that Jessica was non-compliant, refusing to give a urine sample, not answering any questions related to the pregnancy or prenatal appointments, or even how far along she was. Jessica's behavior was unusual. She showed no signs of pain or discomfort. Medical staff could tell she was on something, and they ended up getting a urine sample through a catheter. Jessica gave birth to a baby boy named Dylan Groves. Dylan was born premature and addicted. He was kept in ICU on oxygen for 5 days. It was said that neither Jessica or Daniel ever inquired about baby Dylan's condition. Dylan's umbilical cord tested positive for amphetamines, methamphetamines, opiates, and fentanyl. In an attempt to return baby Dylan with his father, Daniel would take a drug test and end up passing it. Child Protective Services had a plan they wanted to put in motion, allowing Dylan to go home with Daniel if Jessica was not living in the household and only had supervised visits. This plan was denied by the hospital, and Dylan was placed into foster care. On January 15th, Dylan would be taken into the care of licensed foster mom Andrea Bowling. With the help of her family and friends, Andrea was able to quickly gather all the materials needed for baby Dylan, like a crib, a rocker, a mamaroo, clothes, etc. Andrea took time off work and was ready to love and care for baby Dylan. During this time with Andrea, Dylan looked to be on track toward better health, even though he was still having withdrawals, sweating profusely and shaking. Andrea would swaddle and hold baby Dylan to help soothe his tremors. One day, Dylan had a visitation where Jessica was behaving abnormal again. This time, she seemed extremely overexcited and appeared to be on drugs. Andrea would immediately report this to Child Protective Services. But on January 28th, Dylan would be released back into the custody of his father, Daniel, under the pretenses of the original plan, which was now approved because Daniel appeared to be clean with a job and had time available to take off work to be home with Dylan. Daniel brought Dylan to see a pediatrician twice in February, who said all was looking well. However, Daniel soon became unreachable, missing Dylan's doctor's appointments, not showing up to visits with Child Protective Services, and also missing court dates. Child Protective Services would try to track down Daniel for months, to no avail. They even showed up to Daniel Jr.'s school to ask him where his father was. Eventually, Daniel Jr. would also be put into foster care. They also called Daniel's employer to see where he was, and they told Child Protective Services Daniel had not worked there since 2018. The sheriff's department was now involved and was on the lookout for Daniel. One day he was spotted on a four-wheeler on his property, but police couldn't reach him in time, and Daniel fled. The Scioto County Sheriff's Department got a warrant to search Daniel's property, and on June 10, 2019, his house was surrounded by law enforcement. Jessica would be found inside the residence. She was arrested and taken in for questioning. Later that day, Daniel would also be arrested and taken in for questioning. Jessica and Daniel both told the same BS story that Child Protective Services picked up Dylan, which was obviously not true because Child Protective Services had been the one to report Daniel missing in the first place. After continuous probing, eventually Daniel confessed that he found Dylan dead in his crib with no apparent injuries and had no idea how Dylan died. That's when they moved the body to a different location. Daniel would end up leading law enforcement on a wild goose chase looking for the body, but nothing was recovered. So police brought them back in for additional questioning.
Whose idea was it to stick to the story about children's service picked him up? That's the same story Jessica gave me at first too.
No, that's just what we had came up with. I don't know. It's stupid, you know what I mean?
I respect the fact that you're being honest. I told you that.
I am, Jay. I mean, trust me, I'm being completely honest with you. I am. I want to be because I want this over with.
And I'm out there looking nonstop hoping because, if, you said that he died just, for no reason, like medical or something you don't know, we're going to be able to tell that from that, which is going to help you. That's why I want to for sure find him. I'm doing everything in my power. So like I said, we can put,
So why ain't I been able to see Jessica?
hold on, let me talk to my supervisor and see what he
I
says.
just want to talk to her and see if she's okay. I'm worried
Right.
about it.
Okay, hold on.
Clearly, police were getting the runaround and needed to try something different. So Detective Jody Conkle allowed Jessica and Daniel to be in the interrogation room together, hoping that once alone, they would start talking, and they did. Okay, I know the audio is horrible.
Your trust, kid.
But the amplifiers in the room caught Daniel saying, quote, "They wanted me to take them to where he was at, but I took them somewhere else," end quote. This is when shit hit the fan. Detective Conkle would confront Daniel, saying he purposely misled her. Daniel, of course, would deny it.
You lied to me. Took us to the wrong place where the body was. Why would you lie? Why would you want to hide?
I didn't take you the wrong spot.
Yeah, you did.
Jerry, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Jerry, that's where I took you.
No. You just told Jessica that you took us to the wrong spot. And you didn't tell us everything. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. That's exactly what you said. I could hear it plain as day. There's amplifiers in this room. I heard the whole entire conversation, everything you said. If you take us to the right spot, he's going to be there. So don't take me to another wrong spot. Take me to the right spot. Let's go get him before it gets dark. Is it in the same area or no?
Close.
Close. And you're going to take me to the right spot this time?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Daniel would take the police to a field way back in the woods that was very difficult to reach and pointed to a spring well in the middle of the ground. Investigators reached out to the fire department for assistance. Once there, they began trying to pump out water, but quickly found it to be useless. So firefighters constructed this makeshift fishing rod, added straps and attached a hook to it, and went fishing. Hours later, they were able to hook something and pull it to the surface. This contraption weighed 80 pounds. It was 2 milk crates held together by a large chain, 3 padlocks, many zip ties, and copper wire. Inside the milk crate was baby Dylan, wrapped in layers and layers and layers of plastic and duct tape. Dylan was surrounded by large rocks, 18 of them to be exact, and an iron ring that was likely used as a belt to make sure he never floated to the surface. Just minutes after retrieving Dylan, that putrid, rotting smell of decomposition consumed the surrounding area. The medical examiner testified her findings during the autopsy. She listed several injuries. This included 2 skull fractures. His entire left arm was shattered, having fractures in his humerus, radius, and ulna, a fracture in his left tibia, 2 rib fractures that calcified, meaning they were in the process of healing. Also, his liver came back positive for drugs. He had amphetamines and methamphetamines in his system.
Tell the jury how you caused that complete upper arm fracture.
I don't remember.
You don't remember.
No, I don't.
How did you cause these injuries?
It was an accident.
Not your excuse for what happened. How did you cause these injuries? How did you cause those rib fractures?
By dropping him.
By dropping him. How did you cause that first 2-inch skull fracture?
I don't remember.
How did you cause that 1-inch skull fracture?
It had to be from dropping him.
How did you cause that complete upper arm fracture?
Nothing that I ever did was intentional.
I'm not asking for your excuse. How did you cause that complete upper arm fracture? Tell the jury.
I have to live with this for the rest of my
Answer the question.
life.
How did you cause that complete?
You have devoured my family.
Ms. Groves, you answer the questions that are asked of you. You understand?
I've admitted to my guilt.
How did you
And I have to live without my children. I'm done talking to you.
You are talking to me because you're sitting on the witness stand. Tell them how you caused that injury.
Look at these ladies and gentlemen and tell them.
I can't tell you something that I can't remember.
Who wrapped this baby's body in 6 layers of plastic and duct tape? Who did that?
I did.
You did. Daniel Groves didn't help you with that?
Yes, he did.
Who drove baby Dylan out to that well?
We both did.
Tell the jury how that happened and what you did.
We took him out to the well
How'd you get there?
on the 4-wheeler.
And then what?
We put him in the well, then we sit in the field and cried.
Daniel Jr. also testified, saying he saw his baby brother with black and blues all over his swollen head, where his hair would be, before he disappeared. He also testified about peeing in cups for his father, so it's safe to say Daniel was never sober during Dylan's lifetime.
Daniel Groves panicked and dumped baby Dylan in a 30-foot well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, does this look like panic to you? Does it? A chain, 3 padlocks, 12 zip ties, 8 wire ties, 18 rocks, 6 layers of plastic and duct tape. Does this look like panic? I submit to you it looks like extreme planning. They want you to believe they're not complicit to their baby's murder. But this is what they chose for a coffin and his burial? This? And then they dumped him in a well. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Guilty on each and every count. Each one of them.
Baby Dylan was born January 10th, 2019, and was found 153 days later in the bottom of a 30-foot well, discarded like trash. And on January 10th, 2020, what would have been Dylan's first birthday, Daniel Groves was sentenced to 47 years to life, and Jessica Groves got sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, with an additional 32 years. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.